The horror. The horror. That also sounds like I was saying the horror, but I was saying the horror. Now, I just concluded watching is the documentary by I think it's Nancy Coppola. Not Nancy. Eleanor Coppola. Now, Francis is still alive. He's 86 years old. This picture that I'm looking at here is him off of Wikipedia. I think he's in the White House. He's wearing a rainbow band, some sort of award. 2024 Kennedy Center honorees. Yeah. Okay. Now, a lot of people, they obsess over Apocalypse Now. As Coppola was attempting to encapsulate the Vietnam conflict. In that there was great social upheaval and this clash between generational beliefs and values, and this is a cyclical thing throughout history. And of course, it's the push, it's the push and the pull between cohesive homogeny and chaotic individualism. Now, I might sound pretentious, but I may just be an asshole college professor. Now, concerning a lot of the content that's online as it is as of this day, that being it's now the 31st of May in 2025, and you look at this, of course, this narcissistic lens, right, where we want to see ourselves as this timeless, immortal figure, and not even a person, but the representational image of the person, speaking words of wisdom. And you'll often encounter this, especially amongst academics or of of young post-secondary students, that as soon as they encounter these ideas and these ideals and these values, that they want to go down this road. And again, this could be a generalization. This could be just a generalization. Down this road of depravity and to some sort of sacrifice, some sort of tribalistic, homicidal even. I'm young and I want to see what we're really made of, right? I want to see what's inside this person. I want to eat their heart and consume their essence. I want this other person who's in opposition to me, to feel my pain and my suffering, because my pain and my suffering is because of what I perceive to be ignorance, or what I perceive to be offensive, or what I perceive to be hostile to my very existence. Um, but the thing is that the creative mind, again, there's this self-fulfilling prophecy amongst the left that wants to propagandize uh, ethics and tradition in order to foster a brand new society. And I've said this before in, was it the death of transgenderism? That, of course, we want, as individuals, we want to differentiate from our parents and establish our own identities. And this is only natural to do so. And we want to break free of the confines of our development. And the choice is clear. It's either to insulate ourselves within this drug induced I don't want to call it a dystopia. I want to call it this drug induced utopia where it's just party all the time and there is no responsibilities, there's no consequences. The Never Never Land thing that, of course, everyone. There's a lot of people that don't like Peterson. They don't like him. They don't like him because we want to place our hate and our anger and our contempt upon a public figure for pulling the wool off of our eyes. Right? That's the Plato's rave. And I'll call it Plato's rave because, again, it is this drug-induced state of existence, and it's this superiority complex that exists within the mind. And again, this is what's been thrown at me before, having to do with the echo chamber, or you can't be correct about that. You're not a psychological medical professional. Where and how do you speak of this information? And I am offended by the very fact that you throw it back in my face. And of course, it's the difference between leadership and tyranny. And that's the entire, well, one of the themes of Apocalypse Now is, of course, is destroying this tyranny, this cult of personality. Because what Colonel Kurtz is sent to do, at least in the movie, is to, he's a Green Beret, right? So he's special forces. He's supposed to get close to the natives, supposed to win an ally. He's supposed to train them in order to fight their own battles so that the primary force doesn't have to fight them, right? Divide and conquer. This is simple to see, but in his time there, he goes native. He gets high on his own supply, right? And in Southeast Asia had an issue, especially in the context of the Vietnam War, a seriously pervasive issue of heroin. And, fact follows fiction in this case. And the art is art imitates life, life imitates art. So another movie I watched recently, again, this is a good topic to think and meditate on, is Air America. So with Mel Gibson and Robert Downey Jr., having to do with the CIA operation in Cambodia, or Laos. And the general is manufacturing and selling, at least the Laotian or Cambodian general is manufacturing and distributing heroin in order to fund his war effort. And in the same way, of course, going back to this documentary where it details how some of the actors were under the influence during the production, and this is reflected in their performances. And this is absolutely realistic because, again, as a case study, the Vietnam War and drugs. Again, the drug culture when it excuse me, it becomes this apocalyptica. So again, another reference to Mel Gibson. Scenario where there's not enough resources and everyone wants to party until we're all dead. That's if you give into that human sacrifice, this ritual, and this occultist practice that's what it really is this tribalistic occultist, not atheistic, but not atheistic, but anarchistic, in which it is this belief that we are all one. That's the interesting part, is that the hyper individualism rubber bands back into this collective mindset. So this anarchist, capitalist, ANCAP collective, or hovel, this hippie commune sort of idea. And where I want to have the festival last forever. But who's going to do the work? And then it goes into this hostile, again, self-fulfilling prophecy and self-defeating. Now, Colonel Kurtz, again, is based off the captain from Heart of Darkness. And Heart of Darkness was one of the books that I read while I was in EMDC. And for those of you who don't know, that stands for Elgin Middlesex Detention Center, which is a short to long-term holding place or a prison, or say that, as it by its own description, it's an induction place. It's where you're placed before you're sentenced and then sent off to Penetanguishene or somewhere else, wherever else you might have charges or whatever. And I encountered people that have these drug-induced delusions, right? And I've mentioned examples where a meth head thought that he could stop and travel through time. And he was having this aneurysm over Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared. So energy equals mass times acceleration squared. And again, this superiority complex, so the drugs make me a better person. I see things clearly for what they are. But the science is clear in that the euphoria and the pursuit of the euphoria is what puts the person into a state of paranoia, delusion, and hostility. And of course, those who highlight the problem and attempt to do something about it are the ones that pay for it with psychological trauma. Now, in the book, the captain Who's the essential characters of let's do this. Characters and analysis. This is off of study.com. Marlowe, Charlie Marlowe, the manager, and Kurtz being the captain. Now, if you don't like me saying nigger, then too fucking bad. Nigger is used in the novel, and that's why people don't like it, is because of this anti-colonialist, this anti-European reactionary cultural force that, of course, originated out of academia, and that supports the disproven theory of out of Africa, in which there was one central origin of humanity, and these attempts to basically to homogenize everyone into a single school of thought, which is the great irony, again, of the left, right? In that which hyper individualism becomes tyrannical and becomes super controlling. It becomes domineering. It becomes, what's the word I'm searching for? I think you get the point. Now, again, Kurtz in the book, he dies of an illness. In the movie Apocalypse Now, he dies from assassination. But actually, it kind of changes the meaning, because, of course, Apocalypse Now is about, again, encapsulating the Vietnam era of North American society, and this conflict between the young, who don't see or want to see everything. They want to live in this world without pain and without suffering. But there is no world without pain and without suffering, without conflict. And out of this arises, of course, the anti-war movements, which then become violent. And that's the great irony, is that those who are pacifists usually become the most violent people. And that's the truth out of all of this. Is you look at the animal sacrifice that's in the movie and by other tribes, and a civilized people, or people that have read the Bible and have moved on from the Old Testament, the Christians, not the Pharisees, not the Sadducees, not the Canaanites, right? Those were three different tribes whom were performing human and animal sacrifices. And through baptism, the ceremony of spirituality, and the symbolism of being of water washing away the sins of the clean and the unclean. Again, this is detailed within the cleanliness, the kosher laws, even, or in a lot of cases in simulacra, but in similarity, halal laws. But halal includes bloodletting. So I'll let you make the connection there. And again, in both cases, um, both characters, right? Both versions of Kurtz want to keep and maintain what they've earned. The quote by Kurtz in the book is, "After all, why shouldn't I keep the ivory? Why should I give this ivory over to the company when I have all this wealth and I have all this power and I have all this control? And I'm the one that went into Central Africa. Not them back in England. It was me." But that arrogance, right? And that rebellion is what inspires dissent and then even disillusionment amongst your followers. Now, the treasure for which Colonel Kurtz wins in the movie is this tribe of people that worship the ground that he walks on as if he were a god. And he doesn't want to, or he's incapable of going back to civilization. It's this conflict between the wild, the raw, the creative, and the regimented, the order, and the continuation. Excuse me. So, I have to laugh at people who, again, this is the vast majority of humanity, who upon learning something become radicalized, but they don't bother with researching any further readings. They just take it for face value and expect it to stand upon its own foundation, as if it exists in isolation. But it doesn't. Every wave is new wave, which means that every cultural trend or anything of significance occurs because of something that happened 20 or 30 years ago. Excuse me. Which falls in line with the age of maturity of every generation and the actualization of personal responsibility and its conflict with individual freedom, as if these two things are in opposition to each other. But they're not. There is no personal freedom. There is no individual freedom without social responsibility. And that's the whole thing behind Thomas Hobbes. I'm just looking up at where my philosophy text is in my closet over here. That is the point of the common sense mentality. But there is a large segment of our population, as it is right now, that doesn't want to reconcile its mortality with its social responsibility. And that means looking in the mirror and being happy with who they are. They want to modify, they want to alter, they want to augment, and they want to make themselves superior as a means of revenge. either aesthetically, this new idea of what is beautiful, and to assault those who don't agree with this assessment of beauty. Because what they're really trying to hide is the inner ugliness and their dependency upon control and their substance abuse. Every single time. That's always what it is. It has nothing to do with, say, childhood traumas, because everybody's got issues. Everybody has problems. But it's this refusal to acknowledge. I've said this to someone else before. How is your suffering any greater than my own? Because that's something that we all deal with. We all deal with our traumas or problems subjectively. We are not all created equal. And no matter how much we legislate people into this state of equality, differences will always exist. And we can't just put people into this hive mind and expect there not to be any consequences. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to read from the book here. I heard a light sigh, and then my heart stood still, stopped dead by an exulting and terrible cry. I have to move this here. By the cry of inconceivable triumph and unspeakable pain. I knew it. I was sure. She knew. She was sure. I heard her weeping. She had hidden her face in her hands. It seemed to me that the house wouldn't collapse before I could escape, that the heavens would fall upon my head. But nothing happened. The heavens did not fall for such a trifle. Would they have fallen, I wonder, if I had rendered Kurtz that justice which was his due? Hadn't he said he wanted only justice? But I couldn't. I could not tell her. It would have been too dark altogether. Marlowe ceased and sat apart, indistinct and silent, in the pose of a meditating Buddha. Nobody moved for a time. We have lost the first of the ebb, said the director suddenly. I raised my head. The offing was barred by a black bank of clouds, and the tranquil waterway leading to the uttermost ends of the earth flowed somber under an overcast sky, seemed to lead into the heart of an immense darkness. Sooner or later, you're going to meet the devil face to face. You'll sit at the table. You'll dine with him. You'll shake his hand. And then you'll come back to a place where no one knows what you're talking about. And that is the heart of darkness. Is the ignorance of other people. Not the violence, but the unwillingness to change. The stubbornness, the addiction, and the hegemony of the self. That's what I have to say in reflection of all of this. I wonder if you feel the same.